You might need to start back up again.
Okay.
I forgot to begin the recording at the beginning.
Good morning. I'm welcoming everybody to the Economic Development Committee meeting of Dudley, Massachusetts here. It is 10:31 a.m. on Tuesday, December 15th, 2020. I am just, we're starting this meeting, and today we're going to be discussing the LRRP program outlined by the Baker-Polito administration. It is a program, a fast track program, basically a 6-month program to assist towns to identify ways to help and assist small businesses and businesses in the town of Dudley, or many towns, 351 towns throughout the Commonwealth, to identify projects that would assist these small companies and any company in the towns to recover from the COVID-19. And it's up to the municipalities to outline and fill out an application to identify projects and submit the application by 12/19, which is this Friday. So today we have the pleasure of having Kerry here, Kerry Salwa, to give us an overview of the program and also an update on some other activities, studies that the department has been working on for the town of Dudley. So with that said, I'd like to turn it over to Kerry, and she can take it away.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. If it's okay with you, in the essence of time, I want to be respectful of your time. I figured I would give you an overview on what's happening in Dudley from our point of view, and then an update on the Webster-Dudley corridor study that I'm currently working on for Dudley. And then we could jump into the LRRP since it will be pretty timely. Is that okay?
Yep, sounds good. Sure.
Okay. So some of you may already have these updates, but I think they are important to EDCs, and they all involve economic development in one way or another. So that's why I think it's important to give you an update. So we are, you're on your second tier for complete streets. So we're waiting right now on the notice to proceed from the Mass DOT.
Kerry, we just got that this morning.
Oh, come on.
Yeah,
Yay.
so we're all set.
That's excellent. Okay, so the next step is the data collection process, which involves a townwide survey of crosswalks and intersections. After that, a working group is formed, and then the working group goes through the prioritization plan process. So that's your update on complete streets. The Dudley was also part of a very large community development block grant COVID funding application, and was awarded a total of $367,000. There's 5 or 6 communities that are in that were in that application. Dudley was one of them. So essentially what that is it's a micro enterprise lending opportunity for businesses that have 5 or fewer employees. The grants are up to $10,000 per business, but you have to be a qualifying business. These funds are to help offset any losses or expenses incurred since the pandemic started. So Andrew in our office runs that program, and I will actually, when I'm done with the LRRP presentation, I'll link the application, the link to the application in the chat so that you could share it with any businesses that you think may qualify. And it gives a little bit more information on that application and the timeline and whatnot. The ADA, the American Disabilities Act, your Dudley ADA plan is about 90% complete. The infrastructure project, the infrastructure plan that's been taking place on the Jericho Brandon Road area is about 80% complete. And then the Green Communities projects that Ian in our office has been working on, when he updated me, he said that work's going along pretty smoothly at the schools and the municipal complex. and that they're about a third of the way through those projects. So there is a lot happening in Dudley, which is obviously great. But like I said, they each kind of tie into economic development a little bit. So I think it's worth noting during your EDC committee meeting. So as far as the update on the Webster Dudley, does anybody have any questions on those? I kind of went through them quickly, but I'm happy to answer any questions if they pop up along the time that I'm with you this morning. So the Webster Dudley corridor study is coming along quite nicely, actually. All the data and the mapping has been compiled, and the plan is in draft form, which is great. We're in our final editing and formatting stage. When we did put the information together, we've realized it's a little like Dudley heavy. So we are kind of going through our Webster data right now to kind of balance out the corridor study a little bit. My plan is to have it to you by the end of the year so that you could review and make comments and any edits that you see. And then maybe by your January meeting, I could present it to you completed, and you could take it from there. Does that sound like a plan?
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that sounds really good, Carrie. Thank you.
Because that should give you 2 weeks, I guess, to go through it and, pick out anything, or if there's anything for some reason, anything we missed or any edits that you want to make, that you have some time to review it. Okay, perfect.
How many pages do you think that's going to be? I'm just curious the size of it.
Well, we've kind of strayed from, over the past year or two, we've kind of strayed from like super text heavy plans.
Okay.
And we've gone more with like a presentation type planning. So it's probably 50 something pages right now, 50 something. But I think it's an enjoyable read, but I'm a total nerd. So hopefully you find it as interesting as I do.
Okay.
But I don't think it would be any more than 50 pages. We should be able to compile everything into.
Okay.
It's about 45 right now.
Okay. Okay, so that helps me understand. I just had a kind of maybe a question on all these other studies and grants and, like the ADA plan. What's deliverable on that from your team?
So
yeah,
go ahead.
I have the same question for all of these, like the infrastructure and plan, or it's 80% complete, the green communities project. If you could just give me a quick, some of these are new to me, some of them I've heard, just
Sure.
what is the deliverables that would be of interest to this group here.
Yeah, of course. So the Complete Streets one, like I mentioned, that the working group will be compiled after the full survey. They call it an audit. So they audit all the crosswalks, all of the intersections. And once the working group is formed and the prioritization plan is put forward, you're eligible for a round of funding, which would actually, I think it's a $400,000 per year. It's a competitive round, but I think it's about $400,000 per year. And then you put the plans into action. So the prioritization plan, you don't necessarily have to go in order, but you pick the ones that the town wants to focus on first. And so there's funding eligibility that comes along with the Complete Streets. The Community Development Block Grant CV funds is different because it's not like your typical community development block grant funding that Dudley is actually eligible for. This is totally COVID related. So I don't even know the time.
It's interesting. I talked, like the PJ and the group has been working on letters to engage all the small businesses, and this whole committee has been involved in one way or another. it might be a good time, once we get that link, do we maybe print out some stickers or something, PJ, and put them on the letters, because PJ's already written the letter. We've already got them signed. PJ's ready to, I've got them sitting here all signed on my desk, and I'm just thinking it's kind of an opportune time for us to kind of let the small businesses know that this block grant is available, and I'm wondering how to do that. And I'm thinking, PJ, can we print some stickers with the link from Kerry that maybe, highlights and brings attention to the small business, because we're sending outreach letters to the businesses probably this week, I think.
Oh, well, let me attach the link here. This is the link to the response page that we put together. So if you scroll halfway down, you'll see the CDBG CV page, or I can just share my screen and show you.
I see. Yeah.
You see the link? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't have as much to do with the ADA plans as my colleagues, Ian and Connor usually work on the ADA plans. But from what I understand, that is another audit of all of the town buildings. And it's an audit of accessibility. And then I believe there's, Bill, do you have experience with the ADA plans? Because I think
Yes.
there's a round of eligibility for funding after that plan is complete as well, correct?
Right. The Center for Living and Working is the primary contractor for that study. And as you mentioned, they are examining all municipal buildings for compliance with ADA. So there will actually be a very detailed plan that's submitted, 100+ pages, I would imagine, that identifies all the deficiencies, recommends solutions, and has some preliminary cost estimates attached to that. Once that plan is submitted, it does make the town eligible for funding for ADA improvements, which can come either through the Community Development Block Grant or through the Executive Office of Administration and Finance also has an ADA program, I believe, that the town will be eligible for. So that will enable us to document compliance by having the ADA plan prepared. It makes us eligible to apply for construction funds.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Bill. And then the infrastructure plan, that's community development block grant funding, I believe, too, that Andrew is working in my office. So this, I don't have all the details on this plan, but I do, let me just see one
I
second.
can fill you in on that, Carrie.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, Time Bond is the contractor for that study. They're looking at the Brandon Jericho neighborhoods, and they are doing a detailed analysis of surface and underground infrastructure, including roads, curbs, sidewalks, water mains, sewer mains, drainage facilities. So it's a very thorough and comprehensive analysis of the infrastructure needs of those neighborhoods. We have a draft of the first 3 or 4 chapters. They've done all of their data analysis, and unfortunately, the town is in pretty bad shape in terms of its infrastructure in those neighborhoods. A lot of deficiencies, but it's useful information to have. I believe there'll be their next step is to look at priorities. I think identify the top 4 or 5 projects that the town would work on, and then primarily be a vehicle for community development block grant funds to actually get construction monies to repair and or replace those infrastructure systems on specific streets that qualify.
Thank you so much. It does say here that it will be done in February and should have a public forum soon. And then I just got another email saying that the Complete Streets was got the notice to proceed from Complete Streets. So that's actually really good news. And then the green communities, again, the same thing. Once the audit is done with the green communities, it goes through and projects are chosen. And then there's another round of funding that comes along this. So if you notice, it's inquiry, study, sets the goals, and then usually the funding comes along after that with most of these projects. So if this is a good segue into LRP, if you don't have any other, if anybody doesn't have any questions on this.
Oh, PJ for a question.
Go ahead, PJ.
Nope, you're on mute, PJ.
Sorry, I'm using 3 screens. I can't ever find my cursor. So just to go back to what Brian asked, is it okay to include this link to this CDBG COVID-19 micro assistance plan program with our letter?
Yeah,
Is that
please
appropriate?
do.
Okay, great.
Yeah. One thing that Andrew didn't know is that he has had several inquiries from Dudley, but nobody has applied yet. So this could be a really good push.
And these are for businesses with 5 or less people.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
PJ, we
You're
have
welcome.
a, PJ, we have like a 1-page summary of the program. Would you want to include that, or
Yeah.
we'll
I
just
think,
put the link in?
no, I think that'd be great, honestly, if you could send that
Okay.
to me.
I'll send that to you then. Okay.
I'll print it out and set them in with the letters.
Sorry, the sun's shooting right into my eyeball. Okay.
Just one more question. Is there a
Sure.
time frame on that to apply?
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm certain that there is. But
I would
don't
imagine it's
have-
first come, first serve, and if we haven't had too much interest, I think
Yeah,
anybody
there's-
who thought they would be eligible would be welcome to apply.
I'm just trying to see if there's a deadline here. Yeah, it doesn't say. It could be rolling, actually. Because of the pandemic, it could just be rolling. But I will forewarn you, the application process is not pretty, and would probably need a helping hand to get through all of the paperwork, which we're obviously here to help with that. But and we're working with the Quabog Valley Community Development Corporation as well. So there is assistance if anybody happens to see the application and just was like, no, there's no chance in France I'm doing this, there is assistance for them. So you could probably reiterate that if you have that conversation. Okay, let me see.
I think PJ, yeah, I think, we're going to let them know that, but we should let them know also that there's some assistance somehow, right, PJ? Instead of somebody just crumbling up the paper and, not even making a phone. I mean, we're trying everything to notify small businesses. I mean, it's almost like when do you feel like you've done enough, right?
I know it's
like,
exhausting. I know.
and
And
we're calling for small businesses to engage us. We're on, the live TV. We're sending letters. I think we're doing a lot, and it's hopefully people can, at least pick up the phone and call and get some more information, right?
Yeah, you're doing all the right things. Trust me. Like I said, it is exhausting, but it's such important work. So just
Terry,
just know that you're doing the right thing.
So someone in your area can be of assistance? Is that
Yeah,
what I
Andrew
understand?
Lowe. Yeah, Andrew is he's in charge of the program for our office. And he could point any business in the right direction.
Okay. Lowell,
Loew.
EW. Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, he's working on probably 4 of these 6 projects. He's
Yeah, I can see we're in.
he's
with
always
Lester.
in Dudley.
We're in with Lester, Brookfield, Dudley, Millbury, North Brookfield, and West Brookfield. So
Mhm.
I just started opening it up and reading through this. So
Yeah. So $367,000 is a ton of money, right? And I think we've only gotten 5 applications. So it's income eligible. So not every business is going to be a fit for this. So I think that's why it's, there's not so many applications.
Is there a way for us to put something on maybe the town's Facebook page? to reach some of these small businesses? Because think about a business that has less than 5 employees in Dudley. It's probably not many. And if they are, they're probably home-based.
Yeah, they're
or-
not even going to get our letter.
Yeah,
'cause we're
they're
probably
never-
not even
Right.
aware of who they are.
They're never going to hear this.
Mhm.
So if we can reach as many people as possible in a different form.
Yeah,
about-
I just put it everywhere.
What about an ad in the paper or something? I don't know. But Facebook is, can we do that, Bill? Can we,
Sure, I'll talk to Michelle and have her put up that flyer. You thought, Brian, of a article in the paper, maybe we could talk to the local newspapers and have a PSA put in the paper?
yeah, I mean, how would you go about that? Do you need us to do that, Bill, or is it something that kind of happens in the town, or how's that work?
Do you want to talk to the Yankee Express and see whether they could run something for us? And then I could, share with them the program information.
Okay, all right, I'll reach out to them.
Okay,
And
Do you
then-
know anyone over there, Brian? I know Barbara Van Reed. She's on a couple boards with me, so I can reach out to her if you wish.
All right, yeah, if you don't mind, that'd be great, Mark. That would definitely go a long way.
I'll just have her contact you, Bill.
sure.
Okay.
Good.
All right, that's good question, Jason, and yeah, no, a little bit more. So I don't, if anybody else has any other ideas on ways to contact small businesses like that with 5 or less employees, bring it up. But yeah, the newspaper, Facebook, and I don't know if you put it on the top of the town website, Bill, or any other ideas? I guess we can try doing everything. So
Maybe it's worth sharing with the chamber and the Business Alliance.
Yep, I can do that. I'm on the chamber board and the Webster Dudley Business Alliance, so I can do that as well.
Great.
all right. Okay.
Ready for me to start sharing my screen?
Okay.
I know it's tons of information today. I'm sorry about that. So, then we'll segue into the local rapid response plan, and I'll share my screen in just a second. But I wanted to just reiterate what Brian said earlier in the meeting, that this is a way that the state they're trying to get a better understanding and to be able to diagnose the challenges that our communities have been facing since COVID began. So let me see if I can. You would think after almost a year of this that we'd be pros at this. Can everybody see?
Yes,
Need to move all your little faces for a second. Okay, so this is the local rapid recovery plan. This is quite lengthy, so if I go too fast, just give me a holler and I'll slow down a bit. So this plan goes through the intro, the details about the plan, and then the overview, and then any details of the plan. So it's run through the Department of Housing and Community Development through MDI, which is the Mass Downtown Initiative. And Chris and Emmy run the MDI, and then Larissa is, she works for Street Sense. So Street Sense is the contractor that the state of Massachusetts is working with to bring this program forward. So the recovery initiatives are focused on these four pillars down here. This is for business competitiveness, to build a vibrant community, always train and skill the workforce, and a response to the housing crisis. This came from the economic development plan that was done last September, I believe, through the governor's office. So that's where these pillars came from. This is, like Brian mentioned, this is a very rapid plan. The application is due Friday, but the plan itself will start in January and will end the last day of June. So it's a 6-month like hyper-focused planning timeframe. What it does, it basically focuses on short, medium, and long-term goals. And then it is absolutely statewide. It is not competitive. So any community that applies receives funding. And like I said, the focus is to pin down the impacts that COVID has had on the downtowns. This is only focused on COVID. It's not, any kind of underlying issues that have been happening before COVID started. This, we won't be able to address those types of situations. This is strictly just response to the coronavirus. It's a $9.5 million program, and that has to be shared between the 351 towns. Also, I should note that chambers and nonprofits are also eligible to apply for this, and actually PJ colleges, institutions are as well. Because you are just under 12,000 for population, you'd be considered a medium community. So this is one of the application questions. And this kind of gives a better idea of the time frame. So right now we're here in December. So this is the week like the applications are due. This week also, any of the consultants that will be working on this plan will be submitting a qualifications for eligibility to be consultants on this project. Then pretty much the entire month of January will just be the state taking the communities and the consultants and matching them together. And then towards the end of January, early February, that's when the actual planning process will start. So it says it's a 6-month program, but it's really about 5 months. And then in February, that's when the real fun starts. Because if you are a community taking part in this program, you do get support from a consultant that has been vetted by the state. You will be able to, you'll have all the baseline data that you need to see how COVID has affected your community, and you'll be able to delineate actionable projects that you've worked with your group together to come up with for the best, what's in the town's best interest.
Here I have a question.
Sure. Wait, I can't see you.
Does the consultant develop the projects to work on, or do we as the town submit to the state what we want them to work on?
The town themselves work together to come up with the projects. So it's not, the consultant doesn't come up with the projects. They just help you navigate. And then, so there's also, I forget exactly what they call them. SMEs is what they call them, but they're professionals that I'll get to it's on like the next slide,
Okay.
but they have experts that they will bring in to work with the towns to help them through their project scoping. Okay, so here are the details. Okay, so the only one application per community is available, is allowed. So whoever's working on it with the town of Dudley, you will work together with one application. You can have a group of applicants, so you could have the town, you could have a nonprofit, you could have like a business group. You could only have up to four four committees in one group, we'll say, right? They could be, well, any of the ones that I noted. So it could be a chamber, it could be the town of Dudley, it could be the Business Alliance, it could be Nichols and another group, but you can't have more than 4 on one application, and the application has to come from the town and have town support. Yeah, so CDCs, chambers, educational institutions are eligible. So you could have a single applicant, the town of Dudley, and a single study area, whichever area you choose. You could have the second option, which is a single applicant with multiple like pockets of commercial focus, or you could have a group application if you wanted. You could have like Webster and Dudley could be an application, or Dudley and Southbridge, or you could group together to have a group application with multiple study areas, but there is no benefit to having a regional application. It's not like other projects, so it's not necessary. It's just an option for, and like the example is like some of the smaller communities. Subject matter experts, that's what I was thinking of. So the plan facilitator will be the consultant that you're working with, and then you'll also be partnered for the next few months, for February to June, you'll be partnered with these subject matter experts. So if you had an interest in landscape architecture, or specific lighting for like a downtown area, or some sort of wayfinding that you're interested in for the corridor, or transportation projects or something like that, or financial experts, what I'm hoping that they bring in, they'll have them available to help with the working group, to help you kind of delineate the plans. So the rapid planning process is in these 3 phases. So diagnostic, project recommendations, and then the plan document. So in the middle, at like February, like I said, February, March, that's when the subject matter experts get brought in. The diagnostic areas, mostly like the data compiling all of the data, the mapping area, the business data, how many businesses are in the area. The second part would be working together to kind of delineate those small, medium, and long-term projects, they call them. And then the third phase will be your consultant putting the plan document together for you. And this kind of goes over what I just mentioned. All right, so the data that's compiled, that would be the market information, and then the mapping part would be the physical realm. The business area, this business portion will be the mix of businesses that are in the study area, and then this last portion will be the working partners that could possibly help put the projects in motion. This is an example of some of that street sense. This is an example of one of the projects that they had worked with in the past. So as you can see, the project, the category, the time frame, and then a budget that was involved. And this planning process is based on projects that company Street Sense worked with in New York City. So they were able to do this rapid planning in all of the boroughs, and they noticed that that the planning process was effective. So that's why Massachusetts decided to try it post-COVID. So these are some of the important dates that we've already discussed. So Friday, the application's due. December, so there's 5 consultants now that MDI uses, and obviously they're going to need quite a few more to pull this off. So the request for the consultants will be all compiling their documentation to see if they're eligible to be put on the list. And over here, this is the same timeline we discussed before. Some of the common questions: can you pick a consultant that you've worked with before? They said blatantly the answer is no. The final deliverable will be the project plan, the recovery plan that you'll have moving forward. And my assumption is that, like the other plans we discussed this morning, that once the plan is put into place, that there will be some recovery funding available to help move your projects forward. Are the RPAs eligible to be consultants? The answer is yes. Is it possible to apply for a project in multiple program areas? I believe the answer was yes to that as well. There's no advantage to submitting applications as a region. And hopefully there are funds for implementing these plans in the future. But there are no implementation plans right now. I'm going to stop sharing. Hopefully that wasn't too much and I didn't go too fast. But one thing I did want to note before you start discussing this further is that we surveyed the businesses in Dudley and the communities probably around May to see what their impact of COVID had been on their business to date. And almost 90% of the businesses said that they obviously could use financial assistance. But there was a very large portion of businesses that noted that marketing and communication was extremely important to them, that they were lacking marketing and communication skills, and that they were also really interested in networking opportunities. So those were some of, I think maybe once everybody got shut down, they started realizing that they weren't as connected as maybe they would have liked to have been or thought they could have been. So when you are discussing some of the projects moving forward, they could also just be business development projects as well. They don't have to be physical projects. So the last thing I'll note are some of the examples they have given for projects to be added. So for public investments, they have closed streets and wayfinding, pedestrian improvements like pedestrian flow improvements, placemaking, which I think could be a unique way to support your town and your businesses, kind of being creative with placemaking ideas, enhancing broadband and Wi-Fi, depending on the community and what their capacity is, and then updating facilities and outdoor activities. Some private investments would be programming to attract retailers and like pop-up retail, technical assistance for businesses to help them maybe take a jump from regular business, day-to-day businesses to possible like e-commerce or online businesses, because I know that that's been a feat for a lot of small businesses. Kind of some communities could really use help with their like vacant storefronts, or what they call like camoing, like painting their vacant storefronts, or outdoor merchandise displays for retailers or farmers. Some marketing information or some marketing ideas would be like online marketplaces, social media promotions and marketing for small businesses. District branding has been kind of popular and effective for some communities. Shared advertising to cut down on the costs, shared promotions, shop local, eat local, farm local, play local. I'll link actually in the chat the mass buy local campaign that the governor put together, because I think it's pretty interesting, and it comes with some kind of DIY marketing for communities to use. Could be really effective for Dudley actually. And then some other ideas would be like any kind of zoning or use restrictions that might be on your businesses that aren't extremely helpful since COVID started, or any permanent changes to like outdoor vending or outdoor dining. So those are all, kind of ideas that you could use for projects to list. They don't all have to be set in stone, obviously, for the application. The application, they made it extremely simple. It's literally 2 pages. And that's just so they can gauge, so they can take the data that you supply in your application, so that the state has the data to work with. And then also they have a better idea of who to match you with for a consultant. So I think some of the consultants are geographically challenged, because they want you to be able to work with a consultant that is accessible, right? And they'll take what your goals are and then match them with a consultant that might have a specific expertise in that area. But the application, as Brian attached to the Zoom email, or the meeting email, was, it's the population, it's which RPA do you belong to, what do you have a map of your study area, like what are 3 short-term goals, what are 3 medium or long-term goals, do you have a community leadership group, and if you had implementation ideas, like what would they be? So it's 2 pages, and it's regardless of who you're matched with for a consultant, it's, if you really want to help your businesses, I feel like this is one of the best ways you can do it, because it's essentially free money and free planning experience. It's short, it'll have a quick turnaround, and then what it will do will have you guys, it'll give you, I hate the term so much, low-hanging fruit, but it does that. It delineates what's a really short effort to make happen. And then once you are able to get in your working group and you do the community outreach, you might notice that there's a nonprofit or there's a for-profit entity that might be able to come and work with you to help kind of check the boxes off of some of these projects and get them moving. So that's it.
Right. Yeah. Well, thank
How'd I
you,
do?
Jeff. Oh, that's good.
Perfect.
Good summation and a good detailed overview. I think just to kind of back up for a second, at least where my mind is, I want, we've got obviously you got the Economic Development Committee here, and you got Bill, the planner, and I'm just throwing out there, Bill, how do you see like the Economic Development Committee and with the town? You're kind of our, well, at least my liaison to the Board of Selectmen. I mean, I could reach out to them and stuff, but how do you think this is all gonna, unravel with the town of Dudley, from the application process all the way throughout? I mean, the important thing, I think, for this program to be effective is that there's a group or somebody who's like the quarterback, the champion, right? Or somebody has to be responsible in the town of Dudley to make sure we get the most out of this program. And who's going to do that?
Well, I'd like to hope that the EDC would take on that role.
Okay.
I
Well,
know
I just
the-
wanted to throw that out there. I'm not, not saying that we wouldn't, but I just want to make sure that the town, buys into that and agrees, right?
Yeah, I know the town administrator and the selectmen have been, very occupied with trying to keep the town safe from a, public health and public safety perspective. So I don't think they've given a lot of thought to economic development and what effect the pandemic has had on the town's economy.
Okay.
So I think there's a role for somebody to pick up, and I think, this group would be perfect for that, to take on that job.
Okay. I mean, no, I think, I throw it out to the group. I mean, this is all going to come on this group, and I just want to make sure that everybody is, willing to chip in on this. That it's not going to be a one person role. It's going to be the entire group role to help this program, move along if we do engage it and take it along. And this is the first step of it. I just want everybody on this call to understand that, right? Do we understand that?
Yes.
Okay, Mark has said yes. BJ, I'll text Todd. Todd, if you're on there, Ellen, this is, it's a fast track, and it's, I'm looking for, everybody to be a part of it. I mean, I'm a part of it, but I don't want to be the only person doing it, right? It's going to have to be a collective initiative.
Well, I think, once we have a consultant on board, he or she is going to want to have a group to work with and pick our brains in terms of what are the important issues and priorities of the town. And I think EDC probably knows that better than anybody else. So I would expect the consultant would want to work with the EDC to help understand what's going on in the town.
Yep. No, I just want to make sure that everybody on this call understands what this call is about, right? It's about getting the EDC to be a part of this process. And, I agree, it's a good mission for this group for the next 6 months, and I'm on board with it, but, I'm not going to be the only person. And I want to make sure that it doesn't fall on one person in this group, and it's a collective group effort. And, people, everybody's going to be asked to chip in. I don't know what that means, but I'm just, if you're tapped on the shoulder to chip in, I hope you chip in. In the end of 6 months, we want to make sure that we're doing the best we can for the town of Dudley and the businesses that have been impacted. And so that's all. I just want to get that out there, Bill, because I assume that was your intention, and I just want to make sure that, I'm confirming that, and we're approaching this with the right frame of mind. And
Can I make sure that I understand something here?
Yep.
Because I agree with you totally. I didn't mean to cut you off, Brian, at all. I
Yep,
think
no
that
worries. Yep.
this could be some of the most important work we've done in a while for this committee, and I think for our town. But do we need to, by Friday, have an idea of projects, or we're just doing the application, the consultant helps us with the project development after?
Yeah, I think the latter. I think, the application really just asks for goals primarily.
Mhm.
And then I think the consultant will, as Carrie mentioned, would work with us to develop specific projects and programs.
Okay.
Right. So, yeah, so I think, Bill, you brought up the kind of the important questions that you were hoping to get answered. And, I'd like to take it, Kerry could kind of help us with, trying to maybe, guide us in our thoughts on how to answer these questions. I think our, Dudley is, has some pockets, right? So when I look at this LRRP program, the pocket approach and regions of the community, I think we can probably all agree on maybe some pockets in the town that could use some further study and stuff like that. I don't want to switch, first of mine, I'm happy to hear that universities would be considered in this. And I think, really understanding how Nichols has been impacted is, definitely one of my top things of interest, right, for the town. And, but that doesn't, it doesn't all have to go to Nichols. It could be spread around, but I'm just spitballing ideas right now. How is Nichols been impacted, and how is Nichols going to continue to, post pandemic, right? And I'm just, again, throwing ideas out there, and that goes, and that goes for all the corridor. Do we reach out to Webster on the corridor? And, so I don't know. I don't know if I'm looking at this correctly, but these are just some initial kind of, kickoff points here.
Gary, can you return the controls to me? Make me the host again?
I was just gonna do that. I was hoping that it didn't mess up the recording. So we're gonna try, okay?
Okay, I may have to keep recording then, but we'll see. And then I thought what we could do is, I sent everybody the key questions from the application. I'd like to go through that so we can sort of fill that out. Thanks, Carrie.
Yeah, no problem.
And I'm still recording, so I think we're okay.
Okay, good.
Did everybody have a chance to look at that information that I sent to you?
Yeah, looked at it, Bill. Honestly, I don't know if I'm going to be much help how to answer the questions.
Well,
I was
put
thinking
our
the
heads
same
together
thing.
and hopefully we
Okay,
come
I
up with
wasn't the
something.
only one.
So the first substantive issue is, what areas do you want to study? So it says upload a map of the proposed study area or areas. It should show the geographic boundaries of the node, corridor, town center, or commercial area that will be the focus of the planning effort. So, I just put together the business districts that Dudley has. You can see there's one along Oxford Avenue, obviously the West Main Street corridor, the Village Street area. There are sort of three distinct business districts. There's maybe the east, the center, and the west. Then there's one down along Schofield Avenue, which also, we could include part of the Village Street area as well. And then there's one down in Perryville. So I didn't know whether you wanted to focus in on a particular district like the Main Street corridor, or if you wanted to consider all of them together and make this a town-wide effort. So I guess that's the first question, is which parts of town should be the focus of this effort?
Me, I don't know enough about, Kerry, you said you went out and you talked and did a survey. I'm thinking think big right now and take care of the town is my, look at the town as all the areas. That's my, I don't want to leave anybody, at a disadvantage because we don't know what we don't know, at least where I'm sitting right now. If anybody has any other inputs on taking a different direction, that's fine. But.
Yeah, I think that's super ambitious. I think that we probably should start small. That's my opinion. I think that the Main Street area probably, I think we should probably focus on where there's the most businesses. So, Oxford Ave, that's, there are not a ton of businesses there. If you look at Schofield Ave, there's probably not a ton of businesses there. There are a few on Village, but I think the largest opportunity for us and the ability to impact the most amount of people or businesses is probably on Main Street. So I don't know if anyone else has any other comments, but we can try to hit them all, but
well, I think you're looking at it from an actual, action standpoint in doing. And this is really a planning approach, right? All we're doing is looking for creating a plan, right? And I don't know, if you're taking a reservation of, think small in the sense of the amount of work is going to be small, I don't know if that's, the right way to look at this. I don't know, Carrie, what are your thoughts?
I think for the application's sake, you can pick the different areas as 5 different areas, and you could do like 5 small studies. I think any support that you're going to be able to give these businesses is going to be helpful. And if you do this for the application process and then get into the actual programming and planning and decide that maybe it was too aggressive, then you could always pare it down.
I can't say I'm super experienced on doing this kind of thing, and that, if it's unrealistic to look at every section because of resourcing or type thing, I don't know.
I suppose it kind of depends on what you think the needs are. If you think, for example, that COVID is affecting all the business areas in the town equally, then maybe a townwide strategy or including all the business districts would make sense. Or if you wanted to zero in on a particular area to do some kind of Carrie mentioned some ideas like, wayfinding or signage or branding a particular business district, then you would focus in on one of those specific areas. If there's a problem with, communication or, internet, connectivity or things of that sort, then that would probably apply townwide.
Yeah. Again, I think, Carrie, from the presentation that, the intention of this is to help businesses in town to quickly recover from the COVID-19. And these projects should be a way to help accelerate the recovery and the promotion and creation, whatever you want to say. But it does have that intention of this program. So, again, if we feel that the most important thing for our businesses to recover from this is signage, then I'm fine with that. But I just want to put it, really the intention of the program is the COVID response.
Maybe we could start looking at some of the specific, what they call them, challenges. And once we identify what those are, then maybe that will help us identify the geographic area to focus in on. So we go on to the next question, 6, provide your best estimate of the number of businesses currently operating in the proposed study areas. Does anybody have a sense of how many businesses are in the town? And how many are in the business districts? That's going to be kind of a tricky one to figure out. Kira, you might have developed some data on that, did you not, for the Main Street corridor?
Yeah, we did. We did we have a compilation of businesses, and we also have home-based businesses that we've mapped out for a plan that we did prior to this. But if you ask me, I think from any of the economic development work I've ever done, especially in downtowns, that question has always been the challenge, right? Who are the businesses? What are they? Where are they? How do we contact them? How do we communicate with them? To me, that's challenge number 1 is putting all of that information together, because we can hack your town clerk's list and we can Google map and, we can map them out that way. But getting that data is always a challenge across the board. So I think, I can try and put together those numbers for you, I can pull them from our plan, so you at least have that idea. But I would try and put that in there as a challenge somewhere in the application as well.
So I mean, I took a kind of an educated guess on what, just visually in my head, Oxford Ave, I think has probably 5 to 8 businesses. And again, I may be forgetting about some, so you guys can correct me here, but Schofield and Village Street, 6 to 8. So if you wanted to say, 10 for Oxford Ave, in case I'm missing some, 10 for Schofield and Village, Main Street, we're probably looking at 20 plus. And Perryville, I couldn't get a good read on on that, but
All right, that sounds about right, considering the list that Bill, you furnished to us on sending letters to the businesses. Right, PJ? I think there was, what, 24 to 31 listed on there or something?
Yeah, it was around 30, I thought it was. I was just trying to pull that back up, actually.
Yeah,
Is that from the town clerk or is that, where was that list compiled from?
Yeah, I think that was the DBA list from the town clerk.
Okay.
Those numbers actually seem kind of low to me.
Mm.
Maybe, you know it better than I do.
I was just going to say the same thing.
I'm not surprised about Oxford or, Perryville, but Main Street, I think there would be a lot more than 20.
Let me see if I can get some numbers for you.
Actually, Brian, that list is closer to like 45
oh, okay,
from the DBA. Is it the DBA?
yes.
It was over 30. It was closer to 45.
So that would be the answer to number 6 and would be 45. Bill.
Okay, so that would be townwide. So, Mark, maybe you were pretty close and you had 10, 10, and 20.
yeah, and I didn't
Plus-
mention Perryville, so if there's
Right.
another 5 or 6 there's your 40.
Okay, no, so that's good. You seem to be pretty close then. Let's go on to 7A then. What is your top priority short-term challenge created in your community because of COVID-19 that your LRRP process will address?
Businesses staying in business, businesses staying in the place that they're currently renting. Without that, we've got vacant buildings and then we've got other issues that we'll be dealing with or addressing or looking for grants for, vacant building grants, which I know exist. So,
Mhm.
but more important, the livelihood of that business that supported the town and paid the taxes all these years. That's the most important, obviously, but
Mhm.
there's compound issues related.
Yep.
What is your second short-term challenge?
My second one was health of the town workers, professional services, fire, police. And but again, that's not business related, but it's still. So maybe that would be a medium. I don't know. Want to keep you healthy, Bill.
I appreciate that.
Stay home, Bill.
Yeah, so my third short term, and don't mean to dominate, but I did write this out. And so maybe the second one would be sustained tax base, so it's all related, right? So if an existing business goes out of business, we've got now a town resident, potentially a town resident, but certainly a town business that is out of business. We've got a vacant storefront and we have lost tax revenue. So, I mean, sustaining tax base, if we're not able to collect taxes, then that has a huge impact on so many other things, right?
Mhm. Do you have anything for the third priority, Mark?
So that, again, that third one was probably that, the health of town workers, professional services, fire, police. But again, not truly related to business per se, but that's kind of what I had plugged in there.
So this one would actually be in the third?
Yeah, I mean, probably tax base, sustained tax base, and would probably be, second short term,
Mhm.
and then, either one, I guess. So those would be my three. We can put them in any order that we want.
Mhm. How about other?
My medium or longer term would be and again, when I looked at this, I didn't look at it, specifically relating to a business, but the lost educational development makeup of school children. I mean, in my
Yeah.
opinion, these kids have lost a full year of education, and what impact does that have on, certainly our community, on their personal development, and what sort of burden is that going to be on the town relative to, trying to make up that time with, summer programs or programs in general.
Mhm. How do you think that fits into this program, Mark, in terms of an economic development need? Is there a way we can tie that in?
Yeah, I mean,
Well, it's hopefully, helping the development of younger generations to become productive citizens,
Mhm.
right? I mean, it's all a part of it. And, I know a lot, I know what Mark is saying. I mean, a lot of kids have, really missed out a lot. And we hope that, and it goes to, again, kind of back to the university thing, is remote working and remote education programs and, the new norm for moving
Mhm.
forward.
Brian, you mentioned Nichols before. Throw that in here.
Economically, I wonder what the impact of not having a full campus has been on the local businesses that
Correct.
they visit quite a bit. I
Yeah.
mean, when we do our economic studies of, how much money students and faculty and staff spend in the town, and to have that almost shuttered for a semester, I'm sure that's had a tremendous impact on, the local, pizza shop and delivery. And
yeah. Yeah, it's a great example. Or that's a great point. As an example, there's a new business that just opened up next to Peter's Hair Salon. It's a smoothie shop, and I actually went in there and introduced myself, and she was working at a similar type of shop in Charlton, and she had gotten the ball rolling on this site, and then everything kind of happened, but she was so involved in it that she needed to, pull the trigger and commit. And she was very hopeful that it would be a huge draw for Nichols students. And so that'll have a significant impact on the startup of her business.
Has there been any, long-term effect on restaurants in town and, folks trying to do outdoor dining, things of that sort locally?
Sure it
I
has.
think there has to be, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so, you've got a number of different people that run businesses, and, you can look at a variety of different restaurants, and some are, born entrepreneurs maybe, and the reason that they're involved in the business and are adapting to, this new normal, so to speak. And some of them have have revealed that with this, they've never maybe really had a big thriving takeout business, but now they do. And so they're looking at it saying, once we get back to normal, I'm not only going to have my regular customers back, but I'm going to have, you know, a huge takeout side of the business that I never had before. I mean, there's some positive, you know, ways to look at this. And, you know, let's face it, as owning a business, you need to be able to adapt and be nimble and flexible. And I don't think anyone could probably plan for what we're involved in right now, but there has to be some sort of, you know, emergency plan on sustaining, you know, if there's an interruption in your business. I mean, I'm running a business, certainly not in this town, but you know, and Jason certainly is, and a variety of others. But yeah, you just have to be ready for really anything. And like I said, no one expected this, but yeah, just you need to think differently about how you're running your business.
When Carrie was mentioning, you know, that 90%, I thought you said 90% of our businesses that you had surveyed had talked about wanting and needing more experience in marketing and communications. Did I hear that right, Carrie? I mean, that's a skill set that they've maybe been more in tune to the fact of they need at this point in time. So some of that education might be very critical.
So a number of them said they needed finance and financial assistance. So financial meaning, obviously, I'm assuming money, cash, and finance, like with business literacy. It's one thing we've noticed across the board is that a lot of small businesses aren't extremely business literate. A lot of them don't have the time to focus on every single aspect of their business. So there was 29% of all the business surveyed throughout the region said they needed the communication and marketing.
Oh, I'm sorry, 29%. 29.
Yeah, but
You
89.
surveyed, yeah.
Yep.
89 what?
89% said that they could use finance and financial assistance.
Yeah, just some ideas. You threw out, Carrie, you know, the e-commerce aspect of a small business, marketing and communication assistance, district branding, shared advertising, zoning and use restriction assistance, maybe. Just to recap some of the things you mentioned before, that may be appropriate and for us to, you know, to leverage in this plan application. So, you know, although there's, you know, maybe a takeout side of it, maybe e-commerce could be another component of, you know, that assistance with small businesses, adding some e-commerce to their sales force.
Has there been any impact on specific sectors like agriculture or retail or housing or things of that sort that we could use this program to address?
Can we outreach to our ag committee and find out if they've got any insight on that? Do we have a point of contact with that group?
Yeah, there's a chair of that group.
Does the town have a buy local kind of program going on? Maybe we could get some help setting something like that up as a way to minimize people having to go into grocery stores, for example, or supermarkets if they don't feel comfortable.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, I like to think over the years, I mean, that's certainly what the Webster Dudley Business Alliance is all about. It's shop local, you know, and the members that participate, you know, everything that you get involved in is, supporting a local business. You hold your meetings at local businesses and, that sort of thing. So I think certainly over the past several years, there's been a big push to shop local, for sure. And I think it's been beneficial. I think it's been impactful. I think that it's been followed. But again, is there a particular initiative, other than these groups that are, trying to make it happen? And the town certainly supports them, from Webster to Dudley. They certainly support the initiative, but without, particular funding or a particularly organized program, to support it, that's the extent of it.
Gary, did anything come up in your corridor study that you think would be relevant here in terms of a COVID impact?
I was sharing the links. A majority of the work that we did on the corridor study was pre-COVID. But any kind of COVID data that you need, we're happy to provide that for you. We have, COVID's effect on the region. We have all of our survey results. We have anything actually on that, on the COVID website that we built. Any of that data is eligible, or any of that you would need, we can pull for you. But definitely, promoting local, Dudley's unique as it is. So any kind of promoting local, buy local, especially with your agriculture, is I think a great idea, and something that I would definitely put into this plan. And maybe the fact that one of the things I was thinking is that because you have so many smaller commercial districts, that it might be worth looking into different ways to market each different district, like not necessarily like a village, but kind of grouping the small businesses together by location and focusing on promoting them that way.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Yeah, so we got Nichols kind of into this. I don't know if there's anything else we can tie him in on this, because they're outside the business zoned areas. I just don't want to lose the fact. I don't know if there's any other, outside the scope of those areas that should be included in this that we can touch on, but just want to make sure, that Nichols' hat is thrown in the ring on some of these items.
I think if you were able to make Nichols an actual partner on the application, then they would indirectly be taken into consideration on all of these across the board.
Yeah.
That's up to the town, but
Yeah. Yeah, Bill, what do you think? I would think, Bill, you could type this up or write this up, and I don't know what has to be made to make Nichols an official partner in this, but you also need to get the town as a partner in this. So, how do you have the board take a read of this application and sign off on it, or how does that work?
Well, because it's due on Friday, we don't have a lot of time to do outreach on this. My thought would be to take it to the town administrator and let him sign it on as the chief official of the town. We can reach out to Nichols, but I have no idea what they're doing at the moment. They're probably closed down now for the holiday.
No, we're still here. Well, people aren't physically here, but we're still here.
Oh, you are? Okay.
We're still working. We're off next week though.
VJ, can you take this up the chain and then see whether we can get some kind of a commitment for this project?
Yeah, Can we talk offline after just to see what more I need to share with them?
Sure.
And who? Okay, thank you.
So going back then to question 5, in terms of the geographic areas, did we sort of come up with an approach here, do you think? I mean, it sounded to me like the issues we talked about affect all of these areas.
Mhm.
We didn't specifically focus in on any one particular area.
Mhm.
So it sounds like it's a townwide business geography that we're talking about. Does that make sense or no?
I think
Yes.
so. We don't have like a restaurant district or anything like that. Our businesses are spread out enough. I think that makes sense to me. Like Carrie said, go big now and then taper it back later if we need to.
Okay. So I can, prepare a map then that would show this better. This was just, for today. And then I can take a shot at formalizing the responses to those questions and send it out to everybody for comment. And then if you would get it back to me, say by Thursday, so that we can make sure we get it in on time.
Okay. Yep, sounds sounds good.
Yeah,
Just gonna,
as part of the WDBA, we actually did I don't know why they didn't do it in Dudley, but in Webster, we did a survey of local businesses that said, the questions, there was a list of questions. I tried to access them, but I don't have them in front of me. But, how do you feel as though COVID's going to impact your business, in the next month, 6 months, 12 months? What impact have you realized as of, right now? And this was back in September that we did this. What sort of relief would you be looking for from the town or other? And there were quite a few responses to that, and I'll try to get a copy of that survey, which is pretty easy to read. It's in a graph format, and it could help. I mean, I suspect that the responses that were received by Webster businesses. Do you remember getting that, Jason?
I did.
Yeah. So I can't remember any of the other questions, but it was, all related around this pandemic and how it impacts your business. But, I can't imagine that the questions or the responses would be any different than, to local Dudley businesses as it would be to Webster businesses. So
Yeah, that'd be good.
maybe worthwhile at least having a look at.
Yep. Yeah, if you could send that as soon as possible, then we could use that to kind of influence this questionnaire, and we can get that questionnaire application done. That'd be
Yeah.
good.
Okay.
Yeah, that could be helpful.
Yes. Excellent. So I think we've definitely spent quite a bit of time here today, but I think it was justifiable and needed given the times and the deadline coming up. I just want to say thanks, Carrie, for sticking in here and participating.
Yeah.
no problem. I just want to let you know I'm going to add, I'm about to add something to your chat that's from the Labor and Workforce Development. It's some business data. It's about over 200 businesses, but it would need to be combed through. It's a very broad view. Okay. Before I hit send, I just want you to know.
Okay. Yeah, I got to go through this chat. Is there a way to print out this chat line or no? Because I think when we close it up, it's going to be lost or attached onto this somehow, the recording, or how does this work? Let's see the file.
I believe the host is gonna be able to print that out. Should be able to print that out. Capture it.
Oh yeah, there's a save chat option.
Okay, I'll
Those
take care of
three
that then.
dots. Yeah.
Oops. Yeah. If you can do that, Bill, and then maybe email it to the group.
Sure.
And then we can maybe dig in, as we can kind of research all the links, and then Mark will get the questionnaire. And then I think we've got a lot of good information at our fingertips there to make the application as valid and by Friday. So.
I just want to last before I jump off, I just want to let you know we are 100% available if you have any questions on the application or moving forward.
Yeah, so
Great, thank you.
how is your group, your department, how is it going to participate in the overall process of the LRRP? Are you going to, is it one of the consultants, or how does it work?
We don't know. How it worked was they invited us to a meeting a couple weeks ago and kind of said, like, this is what we're doing. This is the program we're rolling out. Is it something that the RPAs would be involved in? Then we had a call with MDI 2 weeks ago where they kind of went through the presentation. I went with you today, but like slower, and explained it all. And then we had a follow-up call on Friday, we invited everybody from the region to be on the call with the DHCD so we could go through it even with a finer tooth comb. And the answer is we will apply to be a consultant. All of the RPAs are going to apply to be a consultant that I know of. How we get paired, I have no idea. And it'll really it'll depend on our capacity, to be honest, because we're up to our tonsils right now. So we want to be able to be paired properly and be able to give the community the time and energy that it's going to deserve. So it may run along the lines of like our MVP program, which Dudley's been through, where we have one of our staff members will kind of orchestrate how it works and then break it up that way. But to be honest, we have no idea.
Okay.
I don't know if it's 1 or 5 or 20.
Okay.
Hopefully not 20.
Okay. Yeah, well, thanks for that. Just help me understand, where your group fits in. And I appreciate you throwing, giving us the assistance if we need it. And even if you're not paired with us, you're still there as a resource for us. In some
Oh yeah, totally.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Well, honestly, if every one of our towns applied for this, it would be so fantastic. Because it will help Dudley has done a really great job of taking advantage of all of the programs that the state has. Like, I don't think there's one that you haven't either been through or in the process of or have started, right? You have an EDC, which is huge. Your partnering communities have EDCs. You have a business alliance. You have pretty much your own chamber, right? The Webster Dudley Oxford Chamber. Like, you guys are all set. You're doing everything right. You're set up to take on a plan like this and make it work. Like, where a lot of communities don't have that in the pipeline. Do you know what I mean? They don't have the working groups. They don't have that structure and that infrastructure set up to take this on. So like I said, you guys are doing all the right things and you're in a really good position to start knocking some of these challenges off. So we're happy to help any way we can.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you again. And thank you for everyone. I guess at this point, if does anybody have anything else to discuss? Open discussion.
While we were chatting, I did send the request for assistance from the chamber to get the information out about the grant, and I copied Bill on it so that they could get with him. So chamber, WDBA, and the Yankee Express and Barbara. So that's set, and I did request the questionnaire. So I should have that shortly, and I'll share that with the entire group.
All right.
Good, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mark.
Yep.
All right. Well, if there's nothing else, would anybody like to make a motion to end the meeting?
So
So
moved.
moved.
All right, all in favor? Aye, so
Aye.
12:01 PM, the Economic Development Committee meeting is now adjourned. Thank you all. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Hi, everybody. Nice to see you.
Merry Christmas too.
Bill, I'll send you an email. Does that work?
Sure, that'd be fine.
At the planner email address?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
good.